I might be cancer-free, but I'm far from healed. Hey everyone, Todd here, internalarchitect.com, and I just passed the 200-day mark, but there have been a few things that I've been battling with, and a lot of it has to do with my mindset. So I've been feeling a lot of anger and frustration and anxiety and guilt lately. And I think a lot of it just has to do with the transition going back into real life again. I have a lot of time between now until I am okay to go 100% and start working again and all this other stuff. And that leads to a lot of other problems that aren't necessarily foreseen. All these feelings of anger and anxiety and guilt come from that area of just the current situation of what cancer does. This is something that's a little bit hard to explain because, especially for those of you out there that haven't gone through it, but for my family that has been there through this whole thing with me, these feelings have been affecting everything around me. And I'm not just saying with just the relationships or with friends or family, but just in my attitude and how I feel about everything going on. Now, I live in a resort town, and there's always going to be a lot of people coming in and out of this place because that's just this economy of where I live is built on the ski industry and tourism. And I don't know if it's just me or maybe it's just the uptick in how I perceive coming out of COVID and everything that has gone on over this last year, but there's just what I feel as a lot of ignorance going on with people, and it's really been frustrating for me to deal with this. And it's created an area of anger and anxiety within me, especially now that restrictions are starting to be lifted and we're slowly coming out of this pandemic that has plagued us for the last year. As someone that has gone through cancer during a pandemic, this is something that hasn't happened in the modern world, right? But as a patient, a cancer patient that has spent the last about a year going through all this treatment and just to get into remission, multiple hospital stays, my transplant, all the fevering, everything that goes along or that went along with my experience, just to say that I am cancer-free right now has really built up in me and has really been hard to just let go of. As I am coming out of this and as I am getting stronger and I'm working on all these things, the mental health that goes on with cancer survivors, and I think we're going to see a big issue moving forward over the next couple years of cancer patients and survivors that went through this. They will need to deal with their mental health specifically because not only did we go through cancer, but we also went through it during a pandemic, during lockdown. There was a big time where we weren't sure what was going to happen moving forward with treatment. We didn't know if that just automatically meant a death sentence for us. That can play a lot of mind games and a lot of tricks on you. There isn't and there hasn't been a precedent for anything like this. There's no data, there's no studies, nothing has been done to really understand the gravity of how we all went through this. To throw cancer on top of it and to beat cancer on top of it, I think is a pretty amazing thing. But that doesn't change how everything makes me feel coming out of this. So because of all these feelings and the anxiety that I've been feeling due to a lot of circumstances that I have no control over, it was time to reach out and talk to my psychologist and start working through all this because it's been affecting my family. It has been affecting my attitude. And you would think that being a cancer survivor in this period of time, being in remission, all these are like such good things and I should be living on top of the world. The reality is I've been struggling with just the difficulty of the downsides of humanity and how much information is constantly being bombarded into my life and into my family's, and there's only so much that I can do in regard. So I reached out a number of weeks ago, and I had my first psychology appointment last week, and it was good to finally start unloading some of these things. He gave me a few things to work on. One is just to start brainstorming of things that really simply just that make me happy. And that's what I have here is just my list of things. I'm trying to empty that cup. I'm trying to really get a lot of these things that are going on in my head, these ideas, these conversations that I have that are hypothetical with people, try to work these out. And it's really just to help get my mindset back into a place where it's more creative and more free flowing than it has been, because I've just been it's been tough. It's been a tough mental battle lately. And I don't want you to think that I'm underestimating what it is that's going on and what's going on with me and everything else, because there's a million different things that have contributed to my feeling this way. But what needs to happen is to work on little things that I can. I'm feeling fortunate right now that the weather is starting to cooperate here in the high country. The snow is starting to melt. I'm able to get outside. It's starting to be warm. This has been really positive in the last week of just starting to do a few things for myself. I'm really trying to take a step back from a lot of social media because I have been spending way too much time in some consumption side of it, which hasn't helped with my mindset as well. I was also on some new social media stuff like Clubhouse, just in discussions with people while the weather was shitty and we couldn't do anything. So I don't know. There's a lot of things that I'm thinking about that I need to address, and I'm just glad that I have started this process. I have 2 more appointments set up to start the next little bit of working through all the different little things that I had. Like, it's funny because like my list of stuff, it's not crazy, but the stuff stacks up over time. I talked to my therapist about, is this like an entitlement feeling that I'm feeling because I'm alive? Do I feel entitled? I don't know. Is this entitlement feeling that I'm feeling, is it caused by the guilt or the guilty feeling, or what I feel that I'm a survivor? Do I? And I don't think any of that's healthy as well. So this is just like the tip of the iceberg, obviously, because as we talk about mental health and as we talk about working through these things, there's a lot of people out there, a lot of cancer patients that don't know that they have to do a lot of work after going through all the treatment. And that's what I mean by going through something as traumatic as cancer with a pandemic at the same time. I think it's important to let you know that I'm not ashamed to talk to my counselor about these things, because I don't want to bottle them up. I don't want my family to experience the outbursts or the frustrations or the anger that comes across because of things that are outside of my control. So that's all I really wanted to say, and that's why I really feel like I'm not healed yet. Even though physically I'm doing okay, my counts are still looking good. I'm a little anemic still, but that's going to take some time. But overall, like physically, I'm doing better. The end of October, I can get the rest of my shots started, that a lot of my childhood immunization shots, get new tetanus shots, all this stuff, especially for work. So I felt it was necessary to reach out to my psychiatrist and start this conversation with him. We don't know each other all that well, but we know each other well enough to where we can talk about things. We can start mulling through all the different feelings, and he can also help me with some tools of things I can work on to really help myself work through this too. So that's the whole thing, is I just want to kind of feel like I'm getting back into a creative mode again, and to be able to start creating content a little bit more regularly, because I've honestly been just working on trying to take care of myself and do some things for myself, especially since it's so soon after going through this crazy Hodgkin's lymphoma experience. So thanks for watching, guys. If you have any comments or questions, obviously hit me in the comment section below, and hit that bell for notifications. Punch that thing a bunch just to help that algorithm get this into the hands of more people. And just want to say appreciate you watching the videos, and just thank you, and I will see you on the next video.